Right now we're going to welcome in, as we do this time every week, Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, get his take on South Jersey high school sports. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, Sully, how are you?
Before we get going on the high school stuff, I had to ask you, what's your impression of the Bryce Harper bat flip?
Pretty epic. I mean, I saw a good one in the Diamond Classic a couple of years ago. Gloucester Catholic kid, I believe, had one of the best ones of all time.
That went viral.
Bryce Harper's is right there. I like the bat flips. I know sometimes a lot of old time baseball fans don't like it and things like that, but I think in certain situations, a great bat flip is the same as somebody celebrating after scoring a goal in hockey, or a basketball player pumping his fist after a big basket. So in the right spot, I am all up for a great bat flip.
Wow, I had you read all wrong, McGarry. I thought you'd be one of those guys. Come on, what's he doing out there, disrespecting the game? I thought you'd be one of those guys.
No, I'm an interesting mix of get off my lawn and embrace new things. So you never know which side of the issue I'm going to come down on.
Yeah, it's like you got split personalities sometimes.
Exactly.
As far as bat flip goes, I don't think you could do any better than that.
No, I think, and I think it all has to do with the situation. I think Jose Batista had a great one. I don't know if that was a walk-off home run, but it was a big home run in the playoffs when he was with the Blue Jays a couple of years ago. So I think in the right situation, a good bat flip is called for. And if the opposing team doesn't like a good bat flip, then
don't give up a 460-foot homer.
Exactly.
Now, Mike, you cover the Phillies on occasion. What's your take on this team? And definitely a great vibe going on around this squad. I know it's early yet, but when you're out there at the stadium, what's the vibe like? I obviously haven't been to a game yet, but it just seems like there's a lot more juice around the bank these days.
Yeah, well, I'm about to head up there today and we'll have coverage in the paper of their game against Minnesota Twins this afternoon. Obviously they have a great offense, and that's the best type of team to root for, right? A team with a great offense, because they're always entertaining and they're never out of a game, and it's always exciting. And like the other day when they were playing Washington, the game they lost, they were down early, but you don't want to turn off the TV or step away from the radio because, hey, this offense can score runs in a hurry. So, to me, one of the best things in sports is when the baseball team you root for is entertaining and good. They play every day. It's the summer. Most people have more free time to sort of follow the sport. You can check in during the night. You can be at the beach and say, hey, how did Harper do? Or you're walking past the TV on the boardwalk. Let me stay here and watch, Harper's at bat for a few minutes here. So to me, obviously they're the best. They're the best type of team to root for. A team with a lot of offense. And there's one of the best things about being a sports fan is when your baseball team is good. It can be a long, long summer if your baseball team is losing games. 3-0, 1-0, 4-1. As Phillies fans found out between 2012 and last year.
Talking with Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, and Mike, got to get to one of your favorite high school baseball teams, the Holy Spirit Spoilermakers.
Right, there you go, the Spoilermakers. You're glad to help them out this season.
Hey, you may have sparked one of the best seasons in history. Who knows? We'll see what happens the next 2 months.
Right. Well, I mean, I saw them play earlier this season. Carrying what you're referring to is in our baseball preview. I put the Spartans down as spoilers in the Cape Atlantic League United division. It's a good division. I think at Buena Regional as the favorite, and Spirit as a spoiler in that division. It's got a good Pleasantville team in there. It's got a good St. Joe team in there with pitcher Jaden Shertell, who struck out 16 batters in a win this week. So it's a talented division, and the Spartans have took that as motivation, which is all good and great. And so far, they're one of the surprise teams of the first week of the season. I saw them out at Millville. They beat Millville, lopsided game. Alex Zacchaeus pitched tremendous. And then they come back and beat Egg Harbor Township, a highly touted Egg Harbor Township team the next day. So, Spirit's 2-0, and the kids have decided to call themselves Spoilermakers and use it as motivation, and that's great. I mean, the Spirit right now, has definitely established themselves as a team to watch the first week of the season.
I'll tell you what I like about them, Mike, is the balance in their lineup. I mean, they have guys up top that can get on base. They have a pretty good middle lineup with Castellini and Pasquale. Solari is really coming on, sophomore outfielder. They have some guys at the bottom of the lineup that can make contact and turn it over. So a lot to work with there for Jason Downey. We'll see how the next couple of weeks pan out. Obviously, when you start getting into these weeks where you have 3, 4, sometimes 5 games, your pitching staff really gets tested. But they look like a team that can at least score enough runs on a day-in and day-out basis to stay competitive and win a lot of games.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, top to bottom, from what I saw against Millville, what they did against Millville well is that they put the ball in play, and the coach Jason Downey had said that was really a theme for them this year. They want to put the ball in play, force the defense. And when you're in high school baseball, you put the ball in play, you force the opposing team to make plays. That can really put pressure on a high school baseball team. And you get 1 or 2 non-made plays during the course of a game. You get 1 or 2 errors, or you get a ball that sneaks through the hole or something, and that can really lead the way for a big inning, and that's what happened for Spirit against Millville. So I would agree with you. They've got depth to that lineup. In Zacchaeus, they've got one of the top pitchers in South Jersey. I mean, I think he really has to be thought of as, an ace or one of the elite pitchers. So you've got a team that, can contend in that national division, contend for a Diamond Classic berth and be a factor in non-public B. Of course, Gloucester Catholic is in non-public B, but, you never know what Spirit can do. So I think Spirit has kind of opened some eyes, the first week of the season.
Talk with Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. And, Mike, another game I saw you out at on Thursday was the Mainland Ocean City game. What a crazy game, and you kind of always know it's going to be that type of game when those two teams get together. It comes down to the 7th inning where Mainland rallies for 3 runs, and like you just said, the situation where if Ocean City makes a couple plays, maybe they win that game in that 7th inning, but Mainland comes back, scores 3 in the 7th. Hunter Rich, he's an interesting character, and He gets it done with 4 strikeouts in the 7th inning while loading the bases. So he kind of joked with us after the game. He's like, hey, I had to go and make it dramatic, right?
Yeah, I mean, when Ocean City and Mainland meet, it's going to be quirky things that kind of determine the game, and that's what happened, Thursday at Ocean City, especially I think early in the season, especially even though it was sunny over at Ocean City, it was still a little chilly. I think it's still tough to pitch, still tough to hit. I'm not sure if baseball was a game meant to be played, even though it's sunny out in 45-degree windy weather.
Yep.
But Mainland gets the win there, 2-0. They score they rally in the top of the 7th inning, their final at bat. They score the tying run on a balk, then manage to get the winning, a couple more runs across to beat Ocean City 6-4. And even though it's early in this season, that's a big win for Mainland. That's a Cape Atlantic League National Division win. That's a South Jersey Group 3 win. That's a win that sort of puts you in, the conversation for the Diamond Classic. So Mainland off to a 2-0 start. And Ocean City, they have a lot of talent and just a couple of tough losses the first week of the season. They open up with Lashley throwing a no-hitter against Oakcrest. They come back and, the freshman Finnegan looks good against St. Augusta, but St. Augusta wins that game, and then they lose, kind of a heartbreaker to Mainland, so they're 1-2. So, Ocean City's still with a lot of talent. I wouldn't close my eyes or sleep on them. I'm sure they can, get right back in the conversation here with a good week coming up.
And, Mike, really interesting game yesterday as St. Augustine, you were out there. The Prep, they were down 7-2, I believe, in the 5th, come all the way back and win that game against Egg Harbor Township 9-7. I think it's important that they get tested early. They came into this season with a lot of high expectations, number 2 in the state, number 1 in your poll for the Press for Atlantic City. And sometimes when you have all those rankings and expectations on you early on, it can be easy to kind of get complacent in the first couple of weeks, but it was really good for them to get tested here in the first week and have to rally and have to find out what kind of team they are.
Yeah, I think, preseason predictions and rankings, as the Holy Spirit Spartans will tell you, are imperfect science. So, we have Holy St. Augustine at number 1. They've got some key returnees. They've got Cole Vanderslice back. They've got Kenny Lavari back. They've got a couple other key players back, but they've also got some injuries. I mean, Jerry Peacock, a Notre Dame recruit, is going to have to undergo Tommy John surgery later this month. So he's a big loss, both on the pitching mound and in the field and in the lineup. So, there's no doubt St. Augustine has talented players. There's no doubt that people in the South Jersey baseball world, in the Cape Atlantic League baseball world, are not going to, throw or shed any tears for a St. Augustine team. But the reality is St. Augustine does have a number of talented but unproven players at key spots. One of those players was catcher Brian Fury, who had kind of gotten off to a slow start. Now, yesterday, he goes 3 for 3 with a couple of doubles, knocks in 3 runs, and leads St. Augustine to a 9-7 comeback win over Egg Harbor Township. And it's a big win. Coach Mike Byron of St. Augustine said it's a big win because, as he correctly pointed out, this is a new team. This team, didn't win the state non-public A title last season. This team wasn't in the state non-public A final 2 years ago. This team needs to sort of establish its own identity and prove itself, and they took a big step towards proving it, yesterday. On the flip side, I think the game was a positive sign for Egg Harbor Township. They're a team that came into the season with a lot of expectations. They had a tough opening week. They lose that game that we talked about, the Holy Spirit. They come back, lose a tough 5-4 game to Timber Creek, and they kind of squander a lead, a game that Coach Carmichael admitted, you're up 7-2 heading to the bottom of the fourth. You've got to figure out a way to win that game. So Egg Harbor Township off to an 0-3 start, but there are some positive signs. Corey Kessler, Robbie Petrossi hit the ball well yesterday. And Coach Carmichael just said they're going to keep doing what they do, keep believing in what they're doing. And, his goal is to get the team battle-tested and ready for the South Jersey Group 4 playoffs. And, you get in those playoffs, it doesn't matter what your record is. But, the point is to be ready for them. And Egg Harbor Township certainly, should be able to get there and be ready for the playoffs when they begin.
Talk with Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, getting an update on Cape Atlantic League baseball. And, Mike, a couple of surprising teams so far, as far as just looking at the records, Cedar Creek and ACIT. I don't know if these teams can sustain this level of success throughout the entire season, but they've gotten off to a good start. They have some pretty good players on those teams. Maybe not the depth that a team like Mainland or Holy Spirit or Prep has, but it's good to see those schools kind of saying, hey, don't forget about us too soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Cedar Creek's got games coming up with Ocean City and Mainland, so that'll kind of be a litmus test for them. ACIT's off to the impressive 3-1 start. They've got a win over St. Joe. I think they lost to Violin. Violin's another team to keep an eye out for with Irv Bogan there at shortstop. Violin up 2-0. They're supposed to play Millville yesterday. The game got rained out, I think, moved to Monday, so that'll be a nice test for Violin. And then you look down at the National Division, I think, the United Division, I think we've got to take a look, keep our eye out for Buena Regional. Very talented team, the favorite in that United Division and also a contender in South Jersey Group 1. I think they were supposed to play Pleasantville yesterday. I think the game was rescheduled for today. I don't know how great the weather is today or what the field conditions are like, whether that game will be played or not. But a big game coming up this Friday, probably the premier game of the week coming up when Buena Regional and Holy Spirit face off on this Friday. And that game, will probably decide, at least for the moment, who's kind of the front runner in that United Division.
Mike, before we let you go, wanted to touch on a couple of the new coaches in the area, kind of getting a new infusion of baseball energy. Schools like ACIT with Sean Coyle coming over from EHT. You got Matt Zacharitis, a young coach over there at Pleasantville, trying to turn that program around. Mike DeChico taking over for longtime coach Brian Wastel at Absegami. So it's neat to see some new coaches come in and kind of be the next generation of Cape Atlantic League baseball. And Coach Bristol over there at Ocean City, he's not a young guy, but he took over for Craig Mensinger, who was there for about 30 years. So he's kind of putting his stamp on that program. So it's kind of cool to see some new baseball bloodlines coming through here.
Yeah, I mean, even some of the old guys are new guys. I mean, Billy Kern's a guy at Mainland that we think has been around forever, but he's really, been there for 5 or 6 years, which is not, really a long time in the span of things. So even a lot of the old guys are new guys and stuff like that. It's great to see a lot of energy out there, and it's great to see some of the guys who have been there, for a while still out there. I was out at Millville. I think Roy Hallenbach, this is 20th or 21st season. So it's great to see that mix. I think it keeps the game alive and energy and brings some energy to a lot of programs and stuff like that. So it's sort of great to see some new energy in there, but it's great to see some of the, familiar faces out there when you go out there to cover games also.
What I like, Mike, real quick before we let you go, what I like about some of these new coaches is and especially a guy like Jason Downey at Holy Spirit, he's kind of embracing the let them be high school kids mentality. You know, that old school mentality of some of the older coaches is kind of giving way to, hey, let them hoot and holler and this kind of stuff. As long as you're doing the right things and being prepared and doing everything you can in practice, that kind of thing. Enjoy the games, make them a little bit more fun, kind of like what the Phillies are doing. I mean, you're seeing that on the high school level a little bit. You know, they're having fun. They're high-fiving after every run scored. They're just taking on the identity of the head coach. And what Downey said after the game was, hey, that's all fine and good. They like to get each other fired up, but as long as you can back it up is the thing that was important to him. Is as long as you're doing the things that you need to do to be a competitive baseball team, okay, let's go have some fun on game day.
Right. Well, if you work hard in practice, the games are supposed to be fun. And baseball is about, the chatter and things like that, and get your teammates fired up and be loud on the bench and stuff like that. I mean, that's what the game is about. What I like about, too, is a lot more teams, make the games, they announce the starting lineups. They've got music between innings. They make it a more fun atmosphere. And if you're going to be out there playing baseball in 30-degree weather in early April, let's try to make it as fun as we possibly can. That would be my goal.
Good stuff, as always, Mike. We appreciate it. I know you got to get ready to head out to Philly, so thanks for taking a few minutes. We'll catch up with you next week. We'll probably have a little bit more of a better idea of what's going on with the Cape Atlantic League baseball divisions as we get into the second week, third week. So we'll keep track with you all season long here on 97.3 ESPN. Appreciate it, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. The spring season gets old early, so another week we'll have a good idea. Diamond Classic projections, Cape Atlantic League standings. So looking forward to talking to you next week. Anytime, Sully. See you later.
You got it. Thanks, Mike.